I really want to do this shoot that celebrates body diversity. We've got hair, we've got makeup, we've got women from all over New York coming. It's about the celebration of body shapes, sizes and abilities, and I'm pumped. The first steps to learning to love your body is identifying the parts of your body that you don't love and learning to describe them in a more loving and kind way. I could choose to hate my saggy breasts and my legs with cellulite, or I could choose to be in awe of these breasts that have fed 4,000 meals to my 3 children and be inspired by these legs that have run a marathon.
Were you shocked at the reaction that you got when you posted that before and after?
I was.
Here's this average working mum from Adelaide who's been able to create this incredible global movement.
Hi, I'm Taryn Brumfitt.
Привет, я Taryn Brumfitt.
She's trying to stop women saying, oh, have you lost weight? You look great.
All sort of photoshopped out of reality in magazines and billboards.
She's actually trying from the ground up to change the way that women in the Western world are perceiving their body.
When I looked at this body, for the amazing body that it is, I saw life differently.
It's a revolution, it really is.
The lines on my face only serve to remind me that life is short and the bucket list is long. I would have described my body after I had my 3 children as disgusting, fat, flabby, wobbly, hideous. Can you give me a couple of words to describe your body?
Not nice to look at.
Maybe I'm a little bit fat.
It's like frumpy, just kind of gross.
I walk past groups of women all the time and just listening with one ear, and sure enough, more often than not, they're criticising themselves or wanting something different and not losing enough weight. The conversations are just everywhere.
I feel disgusting.
I feel disgusting.
Disgusting.
I don't know a single woman who looks in the mirror and goes, yeah, I got this. From the time we're really young, we're bombarded by images from the media, from social media, from all aspects of pop culture, that there is one type of body that's acceptable. For the 99% of us that don't have that body, you can't help but feel inadequate and like you're not enough.
I think we're tired of talking about it. We're tired of feeling the misery and the pain of hating our bodies. My goodness, we are ready for change. We're on a road trip and we're heading out to regional Australia. We're doing 7 events in 7 days.
No body image problem here.
Taryn always had that can-do attitude. She'll say these crazy things and you'll have a bit of a chuckle and then you'll go, oh, she's going to do it. She's actually going to do it. And that's what she's always been like.
Have you got your stickers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't. We love our bodies and we want to be part of the whole Embrace Your Body movement.
I just think how fantastic that we can all come together and support women at empowering themselves to live healthy and happy lives.
You often get people who get a little confused about what it means to embrace. Now, embracing your body doesn't mean eating 20 donuts and sitting on the couch. Of course it doesn't.
She left school before she finished year 10. And that's been the amazing thing, you know, that I'm really amazed about when I think about what she's doing now.
Thank you. That is why we're here.
Everything that she's ever sort of come up with seems to have fallen into place.
Look what we've just found. Look at this one.
We had a lovely childhood growing up in Adelaide.
That's cute, Taryn.
She was always adventurous.
I think there's a photo somewhere like that with Jason doing that in that rumpus room.
Yes, there was.
In his tennis.
Jason, our brother, and Taryn were a bit of a team. They'd get up to mischief together and have fun.
I think losing my brother had of course, a huge and profound impact on my life.
Isn't that cute? Oh, it is. Talk about McCann.
Jason had just been a normal child as well, a happy child like Taryn. It just happened in the late teens, really, when things went haywire.
He struggled with addiction for many years and he finally succumbed after a number of times of being clean. He was unfortunately overdosed with a bad batch of heroin. I think that Jason's death propelled a drive in Taryn. We only have one chance on this earth, and if you want to do something, you have to go for it and you have to do it.
I saw Taryn at the wake. Jason was a very, very close friend for a long time, so we'd sort of been friends as little kids growing up. Taryn was kind of the annoying little sister, like I didn't really know her.
Welcome back.
I had a crush on him always, as long as I can remember. Who, picks anyone up at their brother's wake? It sounds outrageous, but I remember quizzing him, like, so what do you do? You married or do you want to get married? Like, I just remember asking these really probing sort of questions.
They're shy.
I think something happens to you when someone close dies. You're fueled with just, who cares? A few days afterwards, I actually penned Matt a letter. I just wanted to let him know that I'd always had this really strange crush on him.
I was incredibly surprised. It just came out of left field, so I was flattered, of course. She's an attractive girl, so she caught my eye, of course, but if I'm allowed to say that. And, yeah, the rest is history.
Our newly married couple, Matthew and Taryn.
Eventually, Taryn became pregnant and, she adored being pregnant. I just remember her hands were always on her stomach and she just really enjoyed that time.
To be pregnant, it was just glorious. But then after having birthed Oliver, I remember being in the shower and looking down at what had been this glorious bump that I'd loved so much, and it was this jelly belly mess. It's like, what? Hang on a second, put the brakes on, everybody. But I'd just given birth. I went back to loving and feeding Oliver and getting on with it. But it's where it all really began, was this hatred for my body began right there in that shower. We had 3 children in 3.5 years. It was hectic. I was trying to run a photography business at the same time. It was pretty intense. I wasn't just unhappy with my physical appearance, I was also struggling with how my body functioned. I remember going back onto the netball court. I went for this intercept. And sure enough, I'd wet myself. I could feel wee sort of running down my leg. I sort of said, oh, I've injured myself, and I sort of took myself like limping off to the bathroom. It was the first time I was just like horrified with what my body had done to me. It just got to the point where I couldn't live in what I thought was a really disgusting, hideous, embarrassing body. So I went to the surgeon's office. I sort of stripped down and he sort of, I describe it as he grabbed my boobs like they were dirty tissues. He grabbed this sort of hot dog of fat down here and said that he would remove that. He would inflate these to where they were supposed to be. And I just, almost skipped out of that appointment. I was so happy.
I didn't want Taryn to have plastic surgery. I love her dearly and I didn't feel like it was a necessary thing to have done. But at the same time, I was kind of mindful that Taryn was going through a really tough time mentally and, who was I to say to her, look, you can't do this because, I would seen a very happy-go-lucky woman turn into something that was not happy-go-lucky, so, you know, it had serious consequences on her. So I was torn.
A few weeks after that initial surgeon's appointment, I was watching Michaela playing in front of me.
Jeez.
The thought went through my head, which was, how am I going to teach Michaela to love her body if I can't love my body? And if I have surgery, what will that do for the relationship she has with her body as she gets older? I decided to cancel the surgery based on this sort of moment that I had. But I was still plagued with the thought, what does it feel like to have the perfect body? So I wanted to make this choice for Michaela, but I still continued, you know, that mental chit-chat. I went to the gym and my trainer suggested to me that I train and enter a bodybuilding competition, like a fitness model division.
Taryn has lots of ideas, so, you know, some of them I just kind of take with a grain of salt. I think I probably did with this one initially. I'm like, oh, yeah, OK, well, is she really going to do this? But she put her mind to it.
So I lost about 15 kilos in 15 weeks. I trained for hours a day. I would start at the gym, you know, go for a run for an hour, followed by weights.
I remember getting videos from Taryn at the gym going, oh, what am I doing? Look at me, I'm starving. I've been on the treadmill or I've been boxing.
And it was an extreme regime. The training is not the hard part. It really is the diet. We might go down to the beach at Glenelg and have fish and chips, and Taryn would bring her little Tupperware container full of broccoli. And I mean, Taryn hates broccoli, but she ate a lot of it. It was an incredibly restrictive diet. And, you know, being the husband, I bore the consequences of that because she wasn't eating chocolate, which she loves chocolate.
Matt would often say to me, like, would you just go and eat something because you are a nightmare? And I was.
Ladies and gentlemen, make a welcome with a new body, number 5, Taryn Brumfitt.
Well, finally, competition day arrived.
She'd sort of standing there like she was tanned up, the glittery bikini, and I just thought, holy shit, you know, where's my wife gone?
I walked on a stage in a teeny tiny bikini in front of 900 people, being judged like, you know, this row of judges.
Taryn Brumfitt, ladies and gentlemen, great job, Taryn, congratulations.
I remember walking from one side of the stage to the other, and my dad has, you know, this crazy silver fox hair. And out of 900 people, I saw Dad, and I'm thinking, what is my dad thinking like right now? What is he thinking of his daughter, you know, prancing around on stage?
It was a bit out of whack with our thinking, I must say, you know, sort of, we didn't really like seeing her up on stage there, you know, with the skimpies on.
OK, quarter turn to the right, please, ladies.
I think something happened to me on that stage when all those judges were judging me just for my body. And I remember having this urge to grab the microphone from the MC just to say, hang on, everybody, stop clapping or stop judging me. Like, there's more to this story than you'll ever know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you were absolutely spoiled. Keep the applause going as they file off stage. Thank you, ladies.
The minute I got off stage, that was it for me. I was not doing what I had done for 15 weeks for another day. Even in that perfect bikini body, I still could find the flaws and the small amounts and pockets of fat, and there would always be something wrong or something to fix with that mindset. And I think what I learned was that my body is not an ornament. It is the vehicle, you know, in life. It's the vehicle to do the things I wanted to do. Learning to love my body was a process that happened in those months after that competition. Rather than punishing myself to go to the gym because I had to, I learned just to enjoy, you know, moving my body in any way that I wanted to. And the same with food. I found the joy in eating food. There was no good food, bad food, because it would mean that chocolate's bad. And I don't want to feel bad when I eat chocolate. I want to enjoy that, you know. I still trained, I still lift weights, I run, but it's just with a different mindset. It feels a lot freer.
Taryn went to the showgrounds with a bunch of girls who were just about to compete in a bodybuilding competition.
They were asking me, like, how do you love your body now when you've had that bikini body months ago and look at you now and you're happy? Like, they just couldn't reconcile that in their own heads.
And that night she was in sort of home office working away on something. I said, oh, what's that? And she said, oh, you know, I was just sort of doing this to help some of the girls. I didn't really think anything of it. Taryn was often, you know, sort of working away on one thing or another in the evening when most people are relaxing.
We often see before and after photographs where there's a woman before and she's overweight and she's deeply unhappy, and then she loses weight in the after and miraculously she's happy. I swapped my before and after around, so it was a non-traditional before and after. And I put it on social media.
I think it was the next morning, I think she woke up and said, oh, you know, it's going nuts. And I'm like, you know, what's going nuts? And she's like, oh, you know, the before and after photo. I'm like, yeah, the before, what about it? And she's like, oh, well, I put it on Facebook. I'm like, you what? You put it on Facebook?
The response to the before and after photograph, it was mind-boggling. It had over 100 million views. It went so viral. It was, you know, front page of Paris newspaper. I was doing live crosses to all parts of Europe. A Russian film crew came out and spent a couple of days with me and my family.
How am I ever going to teach her to love her body?
I still find it hard to wrap my head around the fact that there was such a media storm around the fact that a woman could love her body after.
I was a little shocked, but not overly, because it's Taryn. She does things like that. I think it was more of a shock to Mum and Dad. I think it was actually quite a shock to Mum and Dad.
It was hard to get used to seeing this photo everywhere, you know. And sometimes you looked at it and thought, oh, could you get another nicer photo than that?
I was proud of her, but people started to say horrible things about her online. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure why, you know, maybe you should take that photo down.
In the early days, the trolling was pretty intense. The fat, disgusting, ugly comments, I mean, I had them in the hundreds.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't struggle with the concept that was out there. And that was driven home by some of the horrible things that people said. I think one comment was, you know, I'd do her in the first photo, but I'd need a couple of drinks to do her in the second one.
You cannot engage with the trolls. I had to learn really early on that I would just have to be thick-skinned about some of the comments.
I think the thing that has upset her the most is the accusations that she promotes obesity. She's not promoting obesity. She's promoting embracing and loving our body no matter how it is, which then enables us to look after our bodies better.
Because I just wanted to know how other women were feeling about their bodies. I knew how I...
From my experience and from dealing with thousands of clients over 20 years, it's just accepted that women are actually not supposed to love their bodies, and I think it starts from childhood.
I have stretch marks. I have extra fat in my inner thighs. My body is fabulous!
Taryn felt very strongly that we had to be out talking to mothers.
So I had these nipples the size of dinner plates. I was playing netball and I was wetting myself.
She started off talking to anyone that would listen, essentially.
Because I had 3 children. My belly looks like this.
Doing it the hard way, trying to get the message out there.
You have actually been a massive influence in our family, hasn't she? Yes.
I want you to love your bodies just a little bit more, because it feels so bloody great to love your body unconditionally.
I absolutely concur with that message. As a dietitian, I see so many women these days of all different shapes and sizes who have body image issues.
We can't judge people or people's health by how they look.
However, being overweight is a medical condition, often the precursor to so many different health issues. Yes, we need to love ourselves no matter what, but we need to encourage people to still aim towards being a healthy weight. We can't just eat what we like, be the weight that we like, and then get to a point where we regret what we've done in the past, which is just what I see so often.
I think there's a misconception that embracing is about eating whatever you want. And of course it's not. We want people to respect their bodies and love their bodies and nourish their bodies with food. There's a $7 billion weight loss and diet industry in Australia. And we talk about the increase in obesity, but what's currently on offer clearly isn't working. You know, diets is not working. Shame and fear is not working. I think it's quite simple when it comes to health, is you can't look after something that you don't love. I received over 7,000 emails and messages from people sharing their stories about how they felt about their bodies. The stories were heartbreaking. I have a 4-year-old daughter and I've never swum with her because I don't want to wear a pair of bathers. I've not been intimate with my husband for 3 years because I think I look disgusting. He tells me he loves me, but I just can't bring myself to be naked in front of him. Some people just simply wanted to share their own story about body image. Other people were asking advice on how to love their body. And there was lots of messages also just saying, thank you.
Sorry, I know I'm a complete stranger, but sometimes it's easier to say these things to a stranger. Thanks for listening.
I absolutely felt this sense of responsibility that I wanted to do something with all these sad stories. So I decided to make a documentary.
With your help, we can raise the money to make this documentary.
I needed to raise some funds to make the film, and I turned to Kickstarter and set out to raise $200,000 in a 60-day campaign.
My promise to you is to make a documentary that is beautiful and life-changing.
We hit that on day 12 and went on to raise $331,000. So it was Australia's most successful crowd-funded documentary. I'd never worked on a film, in a film. I had zero experience. But I thought that being a photographer and enjoying telling stories, I could just combine them and that would equal a film. Of course it doesn't. I feel compelled to try and understand why so many people are hating their body and what we can do about it.
She interviewed psychologists, she researched, she looked at all kinds of different body image issues.
Nobody should have to starve themselves to fit in with how a magazine looks. I mean, I'm not naturally this thin, and lots of models aren't naturally that thin. They have to, you know, really watch what they're doing, and it takes up your life, you know.
We released Embrace in 2016 at the Sydney Film Festival. It's been incredible. We went #1 on iTunes across Canada, UK, Ireland, the USA. The most exciting success happened in Germany, where in one night 52,000 people came to watch Embrace. And we beat Guardians of the Galaxy, we beat King Arthur on their opening night. A body image documentary, you know, versus a blockbuster. The Mexican actress, her name's actually Fernanda. She needs to be part of it for the Spanish-speaking audience.
Yes, definitely.
So we're here at the Body Image Movement office at the Adelaide studios. Matt's here. He handles all of the commercial side of BIM.
Look into that. As the movement started to grow, and I mean, it became a beast and it was just too much for Taryn to handle, I started getting involved because we needed to have some structure around it.
I'm just waiting for a quote from the last printing agency.
We've got a really small team of people. That works really well. And it's a real challenge to keep it going.
Yeah, we had 3.
Everything that we've ever earned from the film, from a speaking gig, every dollar goes into body image movement. There's no profit at the end of the month. We were saying that to add in this for context.
We personally put a huge amount of our own money into funding this passion project. Taryn's a creative force and, my role is more, try and make this sustainable.
Is there someone over in the UK that we could put forward to be part of a show talking about fat shaming? And they were talking about... We're working on a documentary for kids, a song for kids in the classroom at school, just so kids can sing happy songs about their incredible bodies.
After watching Embrace, I knew that I wanted to make contact with Taryn. We're both mothers from Adelaide and we both have a passion for helping other people.
Teresa and I are pitching a TV show to networks and studios in the US. So we're incredibly excited about that. So I'm in the taxi on the way to our first big pitch meeting.
We take certain topics like Hollywood's impact on body image or advertising to keep pushing this Embrace movement forward.
I think it still can be a bit like, oh, she's a mum from Adelaide, but she's the leader of a global movement.
That couldn't have gone any better. They love the concept, they love the film, they love the vision, and I'm so stoked.
It's been years now since I've had a moment where I've hated on my body. And it's not to say that I don't look in the mirror and see that I have rolls of fat, but the relationship about how I feel about those parts of my body has changed significantly. And I don't think it'll ever go back.
Come here, you. Come here.
If we could free up all that capacity that's been taken up by so many women worrying about how they look, imagine what we could do with all that cognitive power we'd have. That'd be amazing.
Chico, look.
I think that's part of Taryn's vision.